Welcome back to ESPN SoccerNet Press Pass. Today we've got some breaking news that Scotland have actually voted to stay a part of Great Britain. Now in terms of that, of course, it is a political aspect, but we are here to discuss, of course, on a football show, the football aspect and the ramifications it can have for specifically Celtic and Rangers as a football club. Now today I'm joined here by star-studded lineup, no better than Ari himself, CEO and football director of Celtic Football Club, and my two fellow analysts, Lucas and Lewis, who will provide some further insight. Now, Ari, personally, I'd love to see, as a football fan, Celtic and Rangers get into the EPL, but you've been quite outspoken and really are pushing towards an EPL chance. Can you explain to myself and the viewers at home why this is the case?
Well, we're being left behind, Ange. I mean, you go back 25, 30 years and compare us to Manchester United before their media and TV boom, which is thanks to the success of the English Premier League.
But surely they are Manchester United. You can't compare.
Well, you look at our financial metrics, the financial metrics between Celtics and other clubs in the UK, our balance sheet performance as well as our performance on the field. I think it exceeds any other club. We have to recognise that we're just shackled by the lack of revenues from TV and from other income sources such as gate revenue, like that Premier League clubs and the Championship League clubs enjoy.
Well, in terms of that, I would love to see it in terms of a competitive nature. I love Celtic, great history, but everything you're talking about is purely economical there. Are there any other reasons that you were looking to go for a push into EPL?
Just to touch on the profit side again, the profitability outcomes for Celtic to join the EPL would be massive. If you look at broadcasting revenues alone, Celtic's outcomes in terms of the money they could make is just enormous. The minimum a team in the EPL can make currently under broadcasting is £55 million. You compare that to a measly £9.1 million that Celtic currently make.
Is that for them if they win the league?
Yeah, so they currently dominate the competition, win the league by 30 points, which is just amazing, and they still come in at a fifth of the bottom team in the EPL.
Okay. And just to clarify, that 55 mil is split equally from first all the way down to 20.
Yeah, so 55 million is split equally, and then the higher you finish in the ladder, the more you get. So if we look at the table behind us, which breaks up the revenue streams for Celtic, we can see that under the current system in the ESPFL, there's a major disparity between Celtic being in the Scottish League or the EPL. Under TV rights, they're making £9 million. If you compare them to a mid-tier team, which many would consider them to be in the EPL, such as Everton, under the current system, they would be getting £80 million in broadcasting alone.
Whopping.
Celtic do get a benefit in the Scottish League by qualifying for the Champions League because they dominate, but it's really not. You can't compare it when you look at broadcasting revenues. As you say, all the other metrics are quite similar, but the real difference is the broadcasting revenues. But the real trade-off for Celtic is not just revenues. They've got to look at the win percentage. If they were to join the EPL, they would have to face the facts that their history of winning would not be the same. They can't win that many games in the EPL. It's just not feasible. If you look at this graph behind me, you can see that this is the win maximising percentage for Celtic in the Scottish League, where they're currently winning around 63%. But the green line in the graph shows that if they were to move to the EPL, it would move further towards 50%, which is where an Everton sort of team would face.
Not too sure that Ari, your fans would be too happy with that.
Yeah, look, we're a great club, we've got a great history, but at the same time, Ange, there's a thing called uncertainty of outcome hypothesis, UOH. Aberdeen supporters from other clubs, as well as Celtic supporters ourselves, we're getting a bit bored and disinterested with the same two teams dominating the league. I mean, UOH is what attracts supporters to the league. It would improve competitive balance in Scotland.
Well, speaking of competitive balance, the competitive balance in the Scottish Football League is clearly shocking. I mean, when looking at the winning percentages, it clearly shows the absolute domination of Celtic and Rangers. So from 2001 to 2006, Celtic have an average winning percentage of 86%, whilst the Rangers had a winning percentage slightly lower at 77%.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like La Liga there.
It does, doesn't it? So to take these two teams out would immediately increase the competitive balance. So a way we can actually measure the competitive balance is through the Knowles-Scully theory. So this measure compares the standard deviations of of winning percentages in the league with the standard deviations we would expect in a perfectly competitive league. So every team would have a 50% chance of defeating any other team. So in an ideally competitive league, the null-Scully value would be 1. So since the two standard deviations would be equal, so this value will always be greater than 1, usually always be greater than 1, sorry, as the standard deviation in any competition cannot be lower than that in a perfectly competitive league. So the closer to 1, the more competitive the league is, meaning that is more interesting and exciting for fans, thus bringing more people to games.
But surely, just in terms of that, EPL is the most competitive, like surely that can't be true.
Yeah, well, you can see in the figure, the graph above these, you can see that in the 1993 season, the competition was incredibly even, with the null-Scully value coming in at just above 1. So as the years go by, the null-Scully value increases nearly every year, other than the year in 2011, when the competition was much more even. So if the Celtics and Rangers move into the EPL, it will decrease the null-Scully value, thus increasing the competitive balance.
Okay, well, just in terms of, I guess, the competition aspect, I can definitely see how it will help all the other clubs in the Scottish League. In terms of revenue, does it have any ramifications further than that?
Majorly. I mean, further than that, you look at what it's done for Swansea in Wales. Look what it's done for the local economy there. I mean, the Cardiff University released a study that showed that the value that it's added to the economy has been £58 million. And the club's directly employed 125 people, but it's created jobs outside of the club to the tune of 295 full-time jobs. So there's a lot of positive externalities, and that's why we have sport. That's why we have public funding of sport, to create those externalities.
Right, well, thanks for that there, Ari. Now, just, I guess to wrap it up there, I personally feel that Swansea and Cardiff definitely benefited from this and grown, although a lot of people locally may not feel so. They definitely are doing well in the top flight, but was there anything else just in terms of that you wanted to add there, Lewis?
Yeah, well, the real reason why any team would consider a move to a different league is profit. Like, Celtic do have a debt, but the real reason is they want to make more money. And the fact is, the opportunities to make money in the graph that I showed previously are just enormous. And Celtic have to weigh up the fact that they're going to make a lot more money, but they're going to lose a lot more games. And I personally, for me, I wouldn't like to see a team that I followed so strongly lose a lot more games. But Ari has made a few good points in the fact that it makes it more interesting for fans, and there's something to go to. There's no point in going to a game when you're going to win. So I think there are some merits for both.
It definitely does improve the excitement factor of the league.
Yeah.
Well, I can see the Premier League really against this. The chief in charge has really been, he's had a negative aspect on it. I truly believe it should go through, but UEFA themselves actually have had a similar situation with the Women's League. Netherlands and also Germany, they're trying a type of league as well. So it hasn't happened too often, but it is in practice, and the wheels can, I guess, get rolling for that there. What more can you do for Celtic to go through there?
Well, I think you just have to sort of convince the EPL that it is in their interest as well as Celtics. I mean, you look at the Scottish viewership that the EPL would win over, and the revenue that the EPL could make. I mean, you look at the bidding wars that would go into it in terms of advertising, and the fact that a lot of the advertisers, because this is an untried, unprecedented move, there'd be a winner's curse in the bidding wars. So, and all that extra revenue, if advertisers overpay, it would all go to the EPL. So the EPL stands to win a lot from this. I think they've got to get on board.
Alright, well, thanks a lot for that today, guys. Unfortunately, we have run out of time there. And if there is any further questions you guys have, please follow us on Twitter, join in the debate. And in terms of that, if you have any questions, let us know. We can address them after the break. Thanks.